The magical three-game winning streak came to an end. The White Sox wrapped up the game beautifully and handed it to the Minnesota Twins on Thursday afternoon. White Sox had their share of opportunities to put the game away or flat out win it, but execution with runners in scoring position was the problem once again. On the bright side, Lucas Giolito had another solid outing, and Eloy Jimenez continued to hit. White Sox visit Cincinnati for a three-game series with the Reds.
You are Locked On White Sox, your daily Chicago White Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, Sox fans, welcome to Locked On White Sox. Thank you for making Locked On White Sox your first listen each and every day. We're free and available on all platforms. Follow us on Twitter at Locked On Sox. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just search Locked On White Sox. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who can take you on that journey of self-discovery from wherever you are. Visit betterhelp.com/lockedonmlb today to get 10% off your first month. Hey, I'm your host, Nick Morawski, a lifelong diehard Chicago White Sox fan, recording this podcast just blocks from the ballpark in beautiful Bridgeport. You can find me on Twitter at Nick_GGTB. Locked On White Sox is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. The White Sox visit the Cincinnati Reds on Friday. Lance Lynn on the hill for the Sox. Catch every pitch of the White Sox hometown broadcast with Sirius XM on the SXM app. Search White Sox. State of our White Sox. Now 10-22, 8 games back in the AL Central. Chicago White Sox baseball, stranger than fiction sometimes. That was a name of a movie way back when, maybe mid 2000s, 2008. Will Ferrell, Dustin Hoffman. Ferrell played kind of a serious role. A decent movie if you haven't seen it, worth a check out. I filmed in Chicago as well, but man, just watching that game on Thursday afternoon is just like anything that can go wrong will go wrong, and some of the stuff that happened, you just couldn't make it up if you imagined to. Sox sitting on a 3-game winning streak, entering Thursday's series finale. Locked up the series win, of course, but a sweep against the first place Twins would have brought them to 6 games back instead of what they're at now, 8. Thank you, Tyler, for the email at lockedonsox@gmail. I can't use the clip from Major League, but definitely the quote from Lou Brown. Okay, we won a game yesterday. We win today. It's called 2 in a row. And if we win again tomorrow, it's called a winning streak. It has happened before. Great reference from Major League. And that's what it kind of feels like. It's like, they are so buried right now. And it's just one game at a time, slowly claw your way back. And they were playing some pretty good baseball during that magical 3-game winning streak. But as we're going to get to later in this episode, the stuff that hurt them before the winning streak, it came right back on Thursday. This was Pedro Grifol after Wednesday's big win. Winning is really important to the energy, really to everything in that clubhouse. You need to win some baseball games to maintain that energy that you need to work with and play with. However, in that 10-game losing streak that we went through, these guys kept that energy and they kept that work ethic, and it's paying off now. Our comeback on Sunday was really important. There was some urgency in that game, the walk-off on Tuesday. And Wednesday was a really good baseball game, but what I feel are 2 really good baseball teams. And again, that's great that there's energy. That's great that there's the morale is up and there's chemistry and all that good stuff. But eventually you got to execute. You got to execute with runners in scoring position. You got to do the little things right. You got to win on the margins. Thursday was a game the White Sox absolutely should have won. So again, I love that there's energy, and we'll hear from Grifol a little bit later in this episode too. But you got to win games when you have the opportunity. There were lineup changes before Thursday's game. Prior to the game, you had Jake Berger. He was placed on the 10-day IL. Infielder Lenine Sosa back, called up from AAA Charlotte a day after Berger hurt himself on a swing in the fourth inning of Wednesday's win against the Twins. The 27-year-old was placed on the 10-day injured list with a left oblique strain. Lenine Sosa, who was optioned on May 2nd during that whole 11 roster move, clean house, musical chairs stuff. He was recalled in 16 games before he was sent down. He batted 151 with 1 home run, 3 RBIs, and 3 runs. Pedro Grifol said Yoan Moncada should start a rehab assignment this weekend. Feels like forever ago when he had that hot start and just so excited for a healthy, explosive Yoan Moncada. So I don't know. I mean, whatever he was dealing with, that bulging, disc with the lower back and nerves and all that stuff sounds horrible for any just person walking around the street, let alone a baseball player doing what he needs to do out in the field and swing a bat from left and right side of the plate. So we'll see on Yoan Moncada. Hanser Alberto and Lenine Sosa will split time at third base. We saw Alberto there on Thursday. There was no Tim Anderson in the lineup against the Twins. And was it a manager's decision? A lot of folks questioning it before the game. Load management due to the knee. This is what Grifol had to say on that decision. Nothing's bothering him. We're just making sure we have him for the rest of the season. We're going to give him a little bit of a recovery. He'll be back at it tomorrow, meaning Friday in Cincinnati. And I did have an opportunity to watch some of the pregame on NBC Sports Chicago, Chuck and Big Hurt and Ozzy. The consensus was that Tim Anderson should have been playing on Thursday. You have an opportunity to sweep the Twins. And then you go to Cincinnati. Now, Cincinnati's not a pushover. They're 5 games under 500. They probably look at the White Sox like, oh, it's going to be an easy weekend here. But, you have a chance to beat the first place Twins again and get it to 6 games instead of what it's now at 8. And now we saw Tim Anderson later in the game, but could things have changed if he was in the starting lineup? Perhaps. I mean, he sets the table at the top of the lineup. It's just a shame. I did not like seeing that. Grifol gave his reasoning, but I agreed with what they were saying in the pregame. Like, you got to play. And unless that was, I don't know if that was a Tim Anderson decision. Oh my goodness. It sounded like it was a Pedro Grifol just trying to manage the workload. TA's got to voice up and say, look, I'm playing. I am playing in this game. We're going to sweep the Twins and we're going to move on to Cincinnati. So he wasn't there in the initial starting lineup. It was Benintendi, Vaughn, Jimenez, Sheets, Robert, Alberto, Andrus, Sosa, and Zavala. Kind of a rough lineup. When you looked at it initially, it did look like a getaway day lineup. And I felt like that was, again, like Pedro has certain cards that he has to play here. And with Berger hurt and obviously some workload management with Tim Anderson, you had Giolito on the hill, who's been kind of using Zavala, I should say, as almost a personal catcher. So Zavala's in there for that purpose. But again, as we talk about this game in the next segment, just about everybody was being used off the bench as it went 12 innings. So, again, happy with the series win, of course, after what was going on with the Sox during that losing streak. But, man, when you have a chance to put your foot on the throat of a first-place team and just beat them, send them away just confused, you do it. And it just, man, the Sox let this one go. Here was some advice from Elvis Andrus that he gave to the rest of the team recently when the team was scuffling during that losing streak. It's only 1 month. Can't panic in April. You know, as a team, you are going to go through funks. We have to earn it. Nobody will hand us games. Need to just turn the page. If you want to be successful, you need to have a short memory. When you worry about the things that are going wrong, you can't see the possibilities. After Thursday's game, the Sox absolutely have to have a short memory. And certain players for sure need to just completely turn the page. Lucas Giolito had a great game, and the White Sox had a few golden opportunities to finalize the sweep of the Twins, but poor execution was the problem once again. More on that in a moment. Today's episode is brought to you by RocketMoney. RocketMoney is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. Over 80% of people have subscriptions they forgot about, and chances are you are one of them, like that Stars app, just to watch one show, or a free gaming trial you never actually used. Rocket Money will quickly and easily find your subscriptions for you. And for any you don't want to pay for anymore, just hit cancel and Rocket Money will cancel it for you. It's that easy. Rocket Money also helps you manage all your finances in just one place and automatically categorizes your expenses so you can easily track your budget in real time and also get alerted if anything looks off. Over 3 million people have used Rocket Money, saying the average person $720. Stop throwing your money away. Cancel unwanted subscriptions and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/lockedonmlb. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedonmlb. The White Sox play the Cincinnati Reds on Friday. Lance Lynn on the hill to kick things off. Catch every pitch of the White Sox hometown broadcast with Sirius XM on the SXM app. Search White Sox. It was game 32 of the season on Thursday afternoon. Sox lost to the Twins 7-3 in 12 innings. The last time the White Sox saw Twins starter Pablo Lopez, they let him off the hook early in that game. And I was hoping that, that wasn't going to be the same thing this time around. Giolito coming into the game, his last 4 starts have been great. He had that rough go in Pittsburgh, gave up 12 hits and a bunch of runs in a short amount of time. And since then, he has looked really impressive. Top of the first, speaking of Giolito, he gave up a lead-off single, start things off against Kepler on a changeup that didn't move. But really, Giolito didn't give up much after that. He was falling behind in hitters 2-0 very early. That was just a theme early on. That changed. There was a walk to Buxton on 4 pitches. Twins with runners on first and second with only 1 out, and then a full count slider to Solano to get out of the inning. No damage done, just 21 pitches for Giolito. Bottom of the first, Andrew Benintendi led things off with a base hit to left field. Like the hits, I just want to see that power from Benintendi. Andrew Vaughn hits into a double play. Aloy keeps his hit streak alive. I think he's at 7 games now. He had a 2-out single. More for him later in this game. Bottom of the second, leadoff hitter got on by way of an Elvis Andrus throwing error. I think Andrew Vaughn could have picked that ball, honestly. It was just that in-between short hop. But some good defense by Andrew Benintendi in left field. Giolito had 2 outs with Michael Taylor up. He could be dangerous. Another slider on a full count to strike out Taylor. Good to see the confidence from Giolito with that slider. Reminded me from a few games ago with Michael Kopech and that confidence he had in his curveball, throwing it for first pitch strike. Bottom of the second, nice at-bat from Luis Robert Jr. Took a full count fastball down the middle, shot it to right field for a leadoff double. Now, he showed some real patience in that particular at-bat, laying off a slider. Lopez got Alberto and Andrus to chase. No surprise there. Sosa flew out to right, wasted opportunity in the second. Luis Robert Jr. did not move from that leadoff double and standing on second there. Clean top of the third for Giolito, looking pretty sharp. 44 pitches after 3, just 1 hit allowed, and it was the first batter of the game. A walk and 4 strikeouts. Bottom of the third. Sox got on the board, though. 2-run blast from Eloy Jimenez, 2-0 Sox. Top of the fourth. Adjustments being made by Lucas Giolito. More sliders than changeups. That's what I saw. Got ahead early. 9 in a row retired since the throwing error. So Steve Stone and Benetti talked about it, more Stone than Benetti, about, Giolito might have came out on Thursday and said, that changeup's not working. Or maybe it was in the bullpen leading up to the start of the game. And he made some adjustments in game, went with the slider. He seemed to be confident, and it was effective. Top of the fifth, 57 pitches to start. Only hit, again, was the leadoff single by Kepler. Velocity wasn't overpowering for Giolito, but he kept hitters off balance. Again, maybe the Twins expected the changeup from Giolito and had to deal with this slider on the fly. Top of the sixth, the third time through now, Correa with a solo home run, cut the lead 2-1. Giolito did not let it snowball, though. Got his 5th strikeout to end the inning. Bottom of the sixth, Pablo Lopez still in the game. Sox had an opportunity to score. Second and third, 2 outs, and Elvis could not do anything. It's great that he's good with the pep talk and keeping everybody positive, but I got to see some offense from Elvis Andrus. Man, he is almost an automatic out. Top of 7, Giolito issued a 1-out walk, struck out 2, facing Gordon, who can be dangerous. With 97 pitches on his arm, got him to pop up. What an outing from Lucas Giolito. Here we go. Top of the 8th, 1-run lead in the hands of the bullpen. Lopez, a big strikeout of Correa, well-placed slider. And then Ronaldo Lopez hung a slider to Byron Buxton in the zone, and he did exactly what you expect he would do. Crushed it to left for a 2-out game-tying home run. Bottom of the 8th, White Sox had an opportunity. Boy, did they ever. Duran pitching, who's dangerous. Andrew Vaughn led off with a walk. Billy Hamilton stole second and then took third on a wild pitch. So you got nobody out, a ground out by Eloy. TA pinch hits, comes into the game in the 8th, a ground out. And then Luis Robert Jr. intentionally walked. Hanser Alberto, the Cactus League legend, a ground out. Absolutely unbelievable. You got Hamilton in this situation, exactly why he was brought up, for his speed, definitely not his bat, and 3 ground outs. Pathetic, really pathetic. Top of the 9th, Kendall Graveman coming in for a back-to-back opportunity. Strikeout, ground out. Good to see that Graveman can be effective in back-to-back games. Bottom of the 9th, here we go. Leadoff walk to Andrus. Sosa sack bunt. So you got Yaz pinch hitting with Elvis at second. Sack fly, an intentional walk to Benintendi, which Minnesota was giving out intentional walks left and right. So you got Billy Hamilton, the hitter, up to bat, and he stabbed at a pitch while trying to bunt. It was a pop out to the catcher, end of the threat there. Seeing some of these at bats from Billy Hamilton on Thursday, you're just like, when the game is on the line. I mean, that's the whole, your only strongest is your weakest link. I mean, he's got the clubhouse vibes, he's got the speed, but he can't do anything with a bat. I don't know what he was doing there with 2 outs, but his attempt at that bunt was absolute garbage as well. So we went to the extras. Top of the 10th, Lambert. He got Correa to ground into a beautiful double play, 4-6-3. So bottom of the 10th, another golden opportunity for our Chicago White Sox. You had Billy Hamilton as the ghost runner because of that stabbing bunt where he was called out, popped out, I should say. So Hamilton's on second. Great situation there. Tim Anderson led off. There was a passed ball. So you got Hamilton on third. Once again, deja vu, nobody out. Tim Anderson struck out, intentional walk to Luis Robert. Bases loaded now. Alberto struck out and the ball hit him. We're going to get into some details on that. And a little bit later in this episode, Alberto had a whole explanation of what happened. That could have ended the game right there. Andrus struck out. What new? Just gross, just sickening. Those opportunities that the Sox had, and they did nothing with them. You could have ended it right there, swept the Twins, and move on to Cincinnati. Top of the 11th, Bummer in the game. And Aaron Bummer, wow, candidate for short-term memory of the year. He has had a rough go, Aaron Bummer, but didn't show it on Thursday. Struck Buxton out on a sinker, struck Polanco out on a slider, then struck out Larnick, struck out the side. Good stuff from Bummer. Bottom of the 11th, Lenine Sosa can't get a bunt down, tried a couple times, and then ends up striking out. Yaz flew out, an intentional walk to Benintendi. And then Billy Hamilton, the hitter, strikeout, completely overmatched. Top of 12, this was it. Heartbreaker. Alexander Colome in the game. Tim Anderson with an error there. Chopper just completely went right past him. Looked like he was trying to go to third already before he had the ball. A real shame. Minnesota scored. Colome with a balk. Sammy Peralta entered the game. First and second and first, only one out, and it was just not good. Many runs given up. Ended up being 7-2 before it was all said and done. Bottom of 12, Sox scored on a Eloy Jimenez hit, and that was it for our Chicago White Sox. 3-game magical winning streak snapped. Giolito's final line, 7 innings, 2 hits, an earned run. 3 walks, 7 strikeouts, gave up a home run. His ERA sub-4, 3.67. Good to see for Giolito. Bullpen, Sox bullpen. So 6 arms were used after Giolito. Colome, Lopez, and Peralta all gave up some runs. I don't know. Peralta might have some potential, but I did not like what I saw from him at all. You know, he's young, he was put in a tough situation. I'm just making excuses really for him right now. Sox offense, 3 runs, 7 hits, 3 extra base hits, a couple doubles in that home run. You want to know about runners with scoring position? I'm sure you know this already. Sox were 1 for 16 with runners in scoring position, and that only hit came in the bottom of the 12th. Absolutely disgusting. And how about those 6 through 9 hitters? That has been a problem for a while for the Chicago White Sox, that bottom of the order. Well, Sox hitters on Thursday afternoon, 6 through 9 in the lineup, 2 for 17 with 8 strikeouts. Hamilton, he can't hit. Okay, that AAA slash line was not a mirage. He is here because he runs fast and, you know, maybe provides a clubhouse boost. But, man, he looked completely overmatched, and maybe he's not the savior that I thought he was. So let's go back to Lou Brown for Major League. Another quote from him talking about Willie Mays Hayes. Well, you can run like Hayes, but you hit like you know what. That's what that quote just, man, ringing in my mind anytime Billy Hamilton comes up these days. Hanser Alberto, what was going on with him? That pitch looked like it was going to hit him from the moment it left the pitcher's hand. This is what Alberto said on the potential game-winning hit by pitch that wasn't in the 10th inning. Bro, I didn't mean to swing. I know it was a fastball because after 2 sliders, I said, okay, maybe fastball coming, and I was ready. I meant to get away, but I didn't know how to get away. The ball got on me. So there you go. The Cincinnati Reds are 5 games under 500 and are probably looking at the White Sox as an easy weekend opponent. White Sox need to shake off the loss and get back to work. More on that in a moment. Today's episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. It is so easy to get caught up in what everyone else needs from you and never take a moment to think about what you need from yourself. But when we spend all of our time giving, it can leave us feeling stretched thin and burned out. Therapy can give you the tools to find more balance in your life so you can keep supporting others without leaving yourself behind. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Find more balance with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/LockedOnMLB today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnMLB. Again, the White Sox had one hit in the last 6 innings of Thursday's game. They were 1 for 16 with runners in scoring position. This is what our manager, Pedro Grifol, said after the game. It's not frustrating for me. The right guys were at the plate. It was just one of those days. They had a good approach. They took good swings. It just didn't happen. Hitting's tough. I love that last part there. Well, I'll tell you something. Those were not good swings, especially from Hamilton, and Sosa had some rough ones. So I guess I like he's trying to stay positive, maybe not trying to throw people under the bus here as they head to Cincinnati. But come on, you got to, after what he said a couple days ago, really, kind of needling at everything that was going wrong that needs to be cleaned up. Scoring with, executing with runners in scoring position, you got to have better at bats. You've got to have productive at bats. You got to move guys over. I mean, it was really pathetic. I don't know where that quote was coming from Pedro Grifol, but okay, he's got the positive approach. White Sox start a 7-game road trip on Friday. Visit Cincinnati to take on the 13-8 Reds for a 3-game series. You got Lance Lynn on the hill on Friday. That's an Apple TV Plus game, I believe. And it's like a 5:40 start too, Central Standard Time. This is the first game for Lance Lynn since that bizarre no-hitter going into the 7th that went completely sideways at the hands of the Tampa Bay Rays. So we'll see how Lance Lynn responds. You got Clevenger on Saturday and Kopech on Sunday. I believe that Sunday game's also kind of a 3-something start Central Time. So a little odd for us here in the Chicago area, used to those noon or 1 o'clock starts. So, hey, another series win would be great. Sure, a sweep would be great. But they absolutely have to clean things up after what I saw on Thursday offensively. That's for sure. They need to be a different team with runners in scoring position, a different approach. Like to see a few other guys starting to hit for power and hit aside from Eloy Jimenez these days. Maybe Robert, he took a day off power-wise, get him back going. Hopefully Tim Anderson is in that lineup on Friday and he plays for the whole weekend. And again, like to see some good outings from Clevenger and Kopech, maybe going 6, maybe going 7. Who knows? But all in all, hopefully the White Sox, just a better brand of baseball from what we saw on Thursday. Thanks so much for making this podcast part of your daily routine. You can find the Locked On White Sox podcast absolutely everywhere you find your podcasts. We are on Twitter at Locked On Sox. You can find me on Twitter at Nick_GGTB. Hey, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you have questions, comments, get them in at lockedonsox@gmail.com. White Sox take on the Reds. Lance Lynn on the hill. Catch every pitch of the White Sox hometown broadcast with Sirius XM on the SXM app. Search White Sox. Thanks for making Locked On White Sox your first listen every day. Hey, everydayers, on the next episode, I will recap the weekend that was for our White Sox in Cincinnati. Appreciate you making time for the Locked On White Sox podcast. I'm Nick Morawski. Until next time, go Sox.